SmackDown opened with solo Sikoa making his entrance alongside the MFT. Taking the microphone, he set the tone with a promo about running the blue brand, but despite the weight of the message, his delivery fell flat. Sami Zayn then interrupted. To make things less hostile, Sikoa ordered his crew to step out of the ring so Zayn would feel comfortable speaking. Zayn thanked him for ruining his chance at the world title because it gave him the freedom to chase other opportunities, specifically the United States Championship. He then made it official that he is now a full-time SmackDown superstar. The moment didn't last long. Sikoa and his crew pounced on Zayn, drawing out Jimmy Uso to even the odds, but the numbers game still proved too much until Fatu stormed out and leveled the playing field. The brawl set the stage for Nick Aldis to appear and announce a six-man tag match for the main event. Predictable as it was, the segment did what it needed to do in pushing the Bloodline story forward. Also, it'll now be interesting to see whether this means LA Knight will move to Raw permanently, with this potentially serving as a switch to help freshen up both shows. Now, one of the standout moments came during Zayn's promo, not from the wrestlers, but from the fans. The crowd broke into loud chants of "We Want Kross," demanding the return of the former NXT champion whose WWE contract recently expired. That timing carried extra weight since Zayn was Kross's final opponent in WWE before his release. In response, Kross acknowledged the chants on Twitter with a short but pointed post, "I hear you." He added a fist, an hourglass, and a praying hands emoji, symbols long tied to his persona. His name also surfaced again this week when a fan brought a Kross sign to AEW Collision, only fueling speculation about his next move. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, someone within the indie wrestling scene also cast doubt on whether Kross's WWE exit was completely genuine, citing the couple's steep booking prices as a possible reason to question the situation. Kross has yet to sign anywhere officially, but the chance, the social media reaction, and the outside speculation may be enough to accelerate his return to the spotlight, or potentially spark a debut elsewhere. All that said, another layer of speculation has started to surface around Kross's situation. Some believe there is a larger master plan in place designed to set the stage for his eventual WWE return. If you believe the whispers, Kross is not executing his master plan alone, as a very big name in WWE is quietly pulling the strings behind the scenes. On the latest Dirty Sheets Wrestling Informer podcast, Billy Body offered a very different take on Karrion Kross's WWE exit. According to him, this wasn't a sudden departure, but a calculated gamble designed to spark real-world intrigue and fan demand. Body explained that WWE did in fact want to re-sign Kross, but the former NXT champion saw more value in letting his contract expire. By stepping away without renewing, Kross would create buzz, fuel speculation, and ultimately drive up his worth if fans began clamoring for his return. Through his WWE sources, Body added that this strategy had the backing of none other than Paul Heyman. The working plan, as described, is to keep things as authentic as possible, allowing Kross to wrestle on select indie shows, produce his own videos, and even openly criticize WWE if needed, all while remaining unsigned. The idea is to blur the line between storyline and reality in a way that keeps fans guessing. It's worth stressing that Body's track record is mixed. While some of his scoops have proven accurate, others have fallen flat, so this entire scenario should be taken with a pinch of salt. The gamble here is clear. If fans rally behind Kross, he could return to WWE with more momentum than ever, showing he didn't need to play it safe. But if the crowd doesn't react, he may have walked away from a guaranteed deal for nothing. It's a bold play. Now the question is whether it pays off. Do you think Paul Heyman and Karrion Kross's gamble will succeed, or is Kross indeed out of WWE for good? The Miz and Carmelo Hayes teamed up against Fraxiom in what looked like a standard showcase, but the shadows of the Wyatt Six were never far behind. Early in the match, Joe Gacy was spotted in the crowd, and not long after, Dexter Lumis emerged, creating an uneasy atmosphere. Commentary wasted no time drawing attention to Miz's prior run-ins with the Wyatt Six, noting their old mission of punishing wrongdoers, a timely reminder given Miz's manipulation of Hayes just last week. The finish only fueled the tension. Hayes had the crowd chanting "We want Melo" as he set up nothing but net, but Miz stole the glory, tagging himself in and landing the skull-crushing finale. Hayes' expression said it all. His push continues, but his partnership with Miz feels more like a setup than a long-term alliance. With Gacy and Lumis lurking, it's hard to ignore the suggestion that the Wyatt Six could soon target Miz for his opportunistic ways. Backstage, Kiana James made a play to recruit Tiffany Stratton as Jade Cargill and Nia Jax circled the women's championship picture. The segment teased another round of Stratton vs. Jax, a matchup fans feel has run its course, but the intrigue came from the shadows. A figure resembling Nikki Cross was spotted near a production truck, with a close-up showing just a hand at the edge of the shot. Whether it was real or just a clever reflection, the implication was that Cross was watching closely. With Kiana weaving her alliances on Julia's behalf, the Wyatt 6 undertones were unmistakable, especially if Kross becomes their unexpected bridge into the women's division. Tensions also flared between the MFTs and the Street Profits over future tag team title shots. The Profits backed up their words with a win over DIY, while Candice LeRae once again inserted herself physically on DIY's behalf. But the moment that stood out came earlier as the camera caught Eric Rowan looming over Solo Sikoa's shoulder, a deliberate reminder of the Wyatt 6's reach. The Profits may have earned momentum, but the sight of Rowan's silent presence was a chilling cue that no rivalry is safe from interruption. The thread came full circle with a match announced for next week featuring the Motor City Machine Guns against Melo Don't Miz. During the setup, Uncle Howdy appeared in the background, perfectly placed between the guns. By the end of the night, every segment had carried a hint of the Wyatt 6. Gacy in the crowd, Loomis ringside, Rowan in the back, Howdy in the shadows, and even commentary linking Miz back to their ethos. It painted the picture of a faction not defined by one dramatic appearance, but by an unnerving omnipresence, lurking just enough to keep the roster and the audience on edge. Enjoying the video? A quick like goes a long way in helping us grow and deliver more wrestling news you care about. Now, Naomi's sudden removal from her scheduled WWE Women's World Championship defense on Raw shocked fans, and even those inside the locker room were caught off guard. Now, Natalya has weighed in on the situation, but she's choosing her words carefully. Speaking on Busted Open Radio, Natalya described Naomi's absence as crazy, while stressing that there may be more to the story than what fans currently know. When asked directly about Naomi missing the match, Natty admitted that she and others behind the scenes were just as unaware as the WWE Universe. She clarified that she didn't view the development in a negative light, but underlined that it was an extremely personal matter. So usually when something crazy is going on, I don't think it's crazy in a bad way, but I think that obviously it's private, it's personal. I feel like she'll talk about it when she's ready to talk about it, but I know she would have loved to have wrestled Io. Despite the uncertainty, WWE did provide some clarity on SmackDown, announcing that Women's World Champion Naomi will appear on Raw this coming Monday. This comes after the company confirmed last week that she had not been medically cleared to compete in her title defense against Io Sky. That appearance now raises the biggest question: will Naomi finally address the pregnancy rumors and possibly vacate the championship, or is this an entirely different situation? Only time will tell. TNA Wrestling could be heading toward a major ownership shakeup, and WWE's role in the process might be bigger than many realize. While former UFC owner Lorenzo Fertitta's name has been floating in conversations about a potential sale, Dave Meltzer just revealed that WWE already holds an option to buy TNA outright. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Meltzer confirmed what insiders have suspected for weeks: WWE's current partnership with TNA looks almost identical to past deals the company made with European promotions such as WXW, Progress, OTT, and Rev Pro. That setup gives WWE a powerful safety net. If any outside buyer makes an offer for TNA, WWE can legally step in and match the bid. Meltzer explained that WWE's endgame is simple: any potential owner must be an ally, not a competitor. This strategy feeds directly into WWE's larger goal of pushing AEW out of the media rights race. With both UFC and WWE now operating under the TKO Group Holdings umbrella, WWE gains far more leverage by having a partner company in the number 2 position instead of AEW. Meltzer also noted that WWE still has the option to purchase TNA outright. The structure could even resemble WWE's deal with AAA, where TKO-backed funding secured controlling interest and operational power, even if another party technically provided the upfront investment. There are also whispers of a more aggressive approach. According to Meltzer, discussions have included moving TNA to Wednesday nights directly against AEW Dynamite as a deliberate attempt to chip away at AEW's audience. The move, Meltzer stressed, would not be designed to boost TNA, but rather to hurt AEW. As for Fertitta, Meltzer confirmed the rumors remain unverified, though his name continues to circulate in serious conversations. Given his legacy with UFC and his close ties to TKO, him stepping into a WWE-aligned TNA role cannot be ruled out. This isn't the first time TNA has been on the market. WWE previously chose not to pursue the company, while AEW also passed, with one source telling Fightful that they saw little value in the brand, especially since much of TNA's historic library is already housed under Ring of Honor. Now, with TNA exploring network talks involving A&E and the CW, both carrying WWE ties, and with WWE already holding key contractual rights, the deck is heavily stacked in WWE's favor. Whether the company executes a full takeover or installs a friendly billionaire with TKO backing, one thing is clear: WWE has a long-term vision for TNA, and weakening AEW is at the center of it. In the women's division, Alexa Bliss competed against Piper Niven in singles action, although Bliss was accompanied by her tag team partner Charlotte Flair, as a new logo was shown for them as a team. Niven wasn't alone either, as Alba Fire and Chelsea Green were by her side, while inside the ring, it was a tale of David versus Goliath, as Niven dominated the encounter, but her decision to go for the Lily doll proved to be a mistake. Bliss lost control of the idea of that happening as Bliss jumped on her with a sleeper hold, which suited the slow and methodical style of the entire encounter. Bliss did manage to make a comeback though, although the match never seemed to leave second gear, which was a shame as they're both capable of more than what they delivered here. Flair and Bliss managed to fight off Green and Fire toward the end before Bliss got the win with a basic roll-up, continuing their momentum as a team. However, after the match, it was the heels who had the last laugh, as Fire super kicked Bliss, and the numbers game proved too much for Flair to help her partner. It was an interesting booking, as it seemed to tease a possible tag title match, but if they really wanted them to feel like challengers, then Niven would have picked up the win in the singles match. Bliss would have been able to cope with one defeat, while Niven would have been helped massively by a win, but it wasn't to be. Cody Rhodes was missing from SmackDown this week following the brutal attack he received at the hands of Drew McIntyre last week, as he destroyed the American Nightmare with a claymore that drove his head through the announce table. There was no medical update this week, but Joe Tessitore did confirm that Rhodes was absent. The commentators also pushed the idea that they have no timeline for when the WWE Champion will make his return to WWE. Rhodes might have been missing, but McIntyre wasn't, and the Scotsman was unapologetic for his actions against Rhodes, and instead, he demanded an update on his medical status. Drew claimed the WWE is hiding the truth from him and the fans, hinting that the company is afraid to admit how badly he'd hurt the champion, as he looked to shift the blame onto Rhodes himself. He pointed out that Cody had attacked him first by clearing the commentary table, claiming that his actions were simply a moment of self-defense rather than anything aggressive. Drew also pointed out that when he lost the WWE title, fans quickly forgot about him, and he promised that this time it would be different, as he made it clear that he intends to defeat Rhodes for the title. It appears that fans can expect a title feud between the former tag team partners at some stage in the future, whether Rhodes is ready to defend his gold or not. While a match has yet to be confirmed by WWE, it seems almost certain that the company is heading in the direction of McIntyre facing Rhodes at the upcoming Clash in Paris event. McIntyre's brutal behavior isn't being saved for television though, as he's been delivering some crazy quotes in interviews as well, including his recent claim that 85% of the roster don't look like they should be in WWE. Now, during an interview with Wrestling Republic, McIntyre doubled down on the situation and made it clear he's still unimpressed by how many of his roster members look. Be in shape for goodness sake, but to find something that makes you stand out, like something different. What's going to make you different from everybody else? Just a bunch of guys to me that just do the same thing and are very much of the same mold. And what's going to make you stand out from the other guy that's really good at wrestling or really good at high flying, and what if a knee injury comes and you can't do that style anymore? He pointed out the importance of every segment on a show, noting that everyone needs to do something to draw the eye, and that starts with looking good physically. Just freaking think about it and stand out. And also get in the damn gym. You've got all the free time in the world. You get paid a bunch of money now. Everybody makes money now. You get no freaking excuse sitting on your couch eating pizza. Another man missing from SmackDown this week was Logan Paul, who has been a major presence on the Blue brand lately. However, he was busy in Lake Como getting married to Nina Agdal. WWE's landmark $1.625 billion deal to move its premium live events to ESPN in 2026 has sparked a major question among fans. What happens to the company's massive video library? Thankfully, now a new update is starting to shed light on the uncertainty. When WWE launched the WWE Network in 2014, one of its biggest selling points was the deep library of wrestling content, including WWE, WCW, and ECW footage. Over the years, WWE aggressively purchased video collections to bolster its archive. Still, insiders have long admitted that live shows were always the true driver of subscriptions, which made licensing live events far easier than finding homes for archival content. As things stand, there's no confirmed direction for where WWE's library will go once its current deal with Peacock ends. However, reports from Fightful Select indicate that the company is weighing multiple options. Some sources believe WWE could leverage its strong relationship with Google and YouTube, potentially pushing archived content there. One insider suggested YouTube would allow WWE to reach new fans while keeping flexibility for larger deals down the road, noting, "If they get a too good to be true offer for the library, they can always take that." Behind the scenes, WWE is already prepared for any move. Nearly the entire library, from the latest episodes of Raw to rare shows like Shotgun Saturday Night from the 90s, has been digitized for copyright tracking. This back-end system gives the company the ability to pivot quickly, whether that means striking a deal with another streaming platform or keeping control of the archive in-house. The ESPN deal secures a home for WWE's live events starting in 2026, but the question of where fans will stream decades of wrestling history remains unanswered. Whether the library ultimately ends up with ESPN, YouTube, or somewhere entirely different, the decision will shape how current and future generations experience WWE's legacy. Where would you like to see WWE's library go once the Peacock deal is over? Back to SmackDown, as the main event this week saw the six-man tag team match take place that was booked from the opening segment, but Fatu made it clear that he didn't really care about Zayn and was simply helping Jimmy out. Tala Tonga was the odd man out for this one, as Sikoa teamed with Tongaloa and JC Mateo, and they isolated Sami Zayn for the majority of this match, which is typical of any match he's in due to his sympathetic selling abilities. However, he finally made the tag to the Samoan Werewolf, and he unleashed on his opponents until Sikoa took him down and nailed a splash on the former United States champion. But Zayn had the last laugh as he nailed Sikoa with a haluva kick to start his SmackDown career with a win, as he now looks to push for a title shot. John Cena is officially set to return to SmackDown next week, and WWE is already teasing a possible face-off with Logan Paul. Also on SmackDown, R-Truth was interviewed this week about how he feels after John Cena's babyface turn. Truth admitted that he feels good about the shift, but the moment quickly took a turn when Aleister Black stepped into the frame. Black wasn't impressed by Truth's comments, and after a brief stare-down, he laid down a direct challenge. WWE later confirmed that the match will take place on next week's SmackDown, setting up an intriguing clash with plenty of eyes on the outcome. So how was SmackDown for you this week? Did it hit the mark and leave you wanting more? And with next week already shaping up to be big, what are you most excited to see? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're ending today with a major talking point from TNA Emergence. This is your spoiler warning. Skip the next 30 seconds if you want to avoid spoilers. One of the biggest talking points from the show was the emotional retirement of TNA star Sami Callihan, who was defeated by Mike Santana in a Baltimore street fight. The stipulation was added before the bell rang that if Callihan lost, he would retire, and that's exactly what transpired. The match was a brutal brawl, as expected from Callihan in a street fight, but despite his best efforts, he was unable to overcome Santana, who nailed him with Spin the Block to get the win. It seemed like Callihan had escaped the 3 count, but the referee's hand eventually hit the mat and ended his career, with Callihan going on to leave his boots in the ring as he walked away. He was greeted backstage by the TNA roster, who all showed their respect toward him except for Eric Young. He barged his way through and opted to make the situation a personal one. "Don't buy into the love of your peers," Young warned Callihan before turning his attention to Joe Hendry. "Everything in TNA that's going wrong right now is Hendry's fault." Hendry opted to step up to Young in the moment, seemingly setting up a major storyline for them moving forward, but the overall focus was on Sami. He walked away with his head held high, and the support was clear from his peers. Callihan has wrapped up his career with 1,417 matches and is a former TNA World Champion, while he also had a short run in NXT as Solomon Crow.